Welcome to our presentation called Grand Theft App. It's about digital forensics of vehicle assistant apps, and this paper is joint work with Fabian Ising, Christoph Saatjohann, Sebastian Schinzel, and my name is Simon Ebbers. If we take a look at today's cars, we can say that they are more connected than ever. With Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you get the possibility to connect a smartphone to the infotainment system of your car. You can start navigations from your smartphone, or you can receive and send instant messages through the interface of your car. But furthermore, there are apps of the manufacturers that gives you access to the position data of your car, more vehicle-specific data like fuel state or tire pressure is displayed on your smartphone app, and you also get the possibility to lock or unlock your doors. This progression shows that there's sensitive personal data collected by the car. This sensitive personal data is accessible by interfaces like OBD or Bluetooth, or even accessible by the GSM network. From a digital point of view, this progression opens new possible data sources. So before we started our research, we found out that the main focus in digital forensics to access data of cars is the car itself. So the focus is on the infotainment system and the control units of the car, for sure. But we've also found out that there's no public structured analysis of data stored by vehicle assistant apps of manufacturers. So the goal was to analyze the data stored on the smartphones. To get information about the data stored by the manufacturers, we started subject access requests. These ARES are requests for personal data of manufacturers as mandatory by the General Data Protection Regulation of the European Union. For each application we used the following methodology. To generate our test data of the apps, we connected prepared iOS and Android devices to the cars, and after that we used the available features of the apps. So we started navigations or unlocked doors, for example, or we tracked the refueling process or saved parking positions. We then acquired the data of the smartphone using standards for digital forensics, and we acquired 3 states of each app. We first acquired while the user was logged into the app. After that we logged the user out of the app so we could acquire the logged off state, and in the end we uninstalled the app and then started the last acquisition. After that we analyzed the data of the app, and to get access to the data stored by the manufacturers we used the subject access request as mentioned before, and in the end of course we evaluated the app data and received data of the manufacturers. We did this described process with the shown vehicles and apps in this slide. As you can see, we had access to older cars like the Mercedes C-Class, where we had to use an OBD plugin to get access to the data of the car, but also we had more modern cars like the Tesla models, where we could access the data using the internet connection of the car. To get an overview, we classified the results as you can see in this table. Our investigation shows that apps log locations in different ways. For example, the Mercedes app logs the complete trip, while the Audi app only logs the end and start point. The Tesla app stores the location data only in cached files, so that we can see that there's a huge difference between the apps. While on the one hand there are apps that store the complete database, and on the other hand there are apps that only access the data they wanted to display, and so the data is only stored in the cached files. Another aspect our digital forensic investigation shows is the difference between the data stored within the different operation systems. For example, the database of the Android version of the Mercedes app was encrypted, while the iOS version was not. Another example is the application My Audi. The difference was the aspect that the drive log of the iOS version was cleared after we logged the user out of the app, but this logout process made no difference for the Android version. In the Android version, the data we could reconstruct before was still stored in the database after we logged the user out. Furthermore, we missed some data in the iOS version of the Audi app, which we could find in the data stored by the Android version. We found that nearly all applications stores information about the user and the car. The informations we could find about the users were email addresses, phone numbers, or addresses, and the information we could find about the vehicle were things like the vehicle identification number, or further specifications of the car, or even a history about the unlocking process of the doors. Our investigation also shows that the data of the apps are completely removed from the smartphone after we uninstalled them. But the results shows that the huge potential for law enforcement to prove a suspect's location by the data generated by the car, for example. The evaluation of the subject access requests show that all manufacturers store customer data. Beside Ford and Mercedes, all manufacturers store vehicle data like vehicle identification numbers, further specifications of the car, or even identifiers of the mobile network like the IMSI or the IMEI. The last mentioned identifiers were communicated by OnStar, as well as the locations and the durations of the call to the service. The communicated data by Tesla show the huge benefits for law enforcement to request the generated data by modern cars. The communicated data of Tesla, for example, contained data labeled auto steer, driving hands-on detection, or primary steering angle, so that you can say that you can almost reconstruct any situation of the car because this data was generated and collected up to 10 times per second. We did a structured digital forensic analysis of 10 vehicle assistant apps, and we could demonstrate that the examination of these apps is a useful addition to a classic vehicle forensic. The volume and the diversity of the vehicle data provided by Tesla shows the possibility of data collection available in modern vehicles. So all in all, this work shows that the analyzed vehicle data should be considered in future forensic investigation guidelines. Thank you for your interest.